Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to live interaction with global makers. Today we have with us a very dynamic young social entrepreneur. He took up the challenge to fix the roads in India. We have with us co-founder and CEO of Pothole Raja, Mr. Sourabh Kumar. Welcome on the show.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Arsha. It's a pleasure to be on this show.
It's 2:00.
I wanted to, you're welcome, and we have some very good panelists also today. We wanted to know what is your journey as a social entrepreneur at the age that you are.
Quite, exciting journey, I would say. And I think the last 3.5 years that I have been in this field has been, none less than a roller coaster ride for me. It all started, just to give you a brief background of how I started off. So I initially, after my engineering, I joined HP as a software developer here in Bangalore. So I graduated in 2014, and after that I started working as a software professional. Uh, I was happily doing the job, what I was doing, and it was quite fulfilling journey. Being in the IT capital of the country, life was looking more promising. A lot of opportunities that one sees in the IT industry was right in front of my eyes. But I think life had a different plan for me, and I clearly remember that one news article that made me think towards why pothole and why only pothole. That caught my attention. So there was one news article which said a husband and a wife, after having dinner at their friend's place, were returning back from their place to their home, and the husband tried to avoid a pothole, and unfortunately both of them fell. What happened was wife's head banged on the barricade on the side of the road and she died on spot. And the news headline was that, because of a pothole, husband lost his wife. And that's very unfortunate that that happened. And after that, I continuously was reading only these kind of news coverages that, a lady biker in Mumbai lost her life because she fell because of a pothole and a water tanker coming from back, just rammed on her and she died on spot. So it made me realize and think, saying that, I mean, did somebody really take birth to die on a pothole? And I was like, not really. I mean, of course, there are a lot of, causes of road accident, but I think potholes, not really. I mean, I was like, I wouldn't want any of my friends, or maybe it can be me as well, right? I also ride a two-wheeler, so it can be me. So I said, I think it cannot work like that. So initially I said, let me try to find out what is the right solution for this particular thing. Now, I don't come from a civil engineering background, but this is hardcore civil engineering, and I was like, okay, so I don't know how road construction happens, but can I find an alternative method of how to address this issue, being a non-technical in terms of this particular industry? Is there something that we can do, I can do personally at my individual capacity? And that's where I realized that there exists a solution, eco-friendly solution, which we can use, and in just 10 minutes you can fix a pothole. But of course, it's not as simple as you find something on Google and purchase it and do it. So it was not there in India, it was there in the US, and I had no idea how to import such material. I had not even bought imported an iPhone before that, and I was trying to procure a petroleum product. So I was like, this is not working out really. I continued to do my research, and I think one thing that I firmly believe in manifestation. So there was continuous journey or continuous research and development. Google became my best friend. I think a lot of my chemical engineering and civil engineering friends hate me for calling them so many times and bugging them, saying that why is this guy calling again and again, asking for some magical product or solution. So that's how the journey was. And I was, at this point of time, I was there in HP working as a software IT professional. But life had different plans for me, and I read about Pothole Raja in the newspaper. It was a front page article on the Hindu newspaper. 2017 January is when I read about Pothole Raja, and I was like, this is something, this is really interesting. There is somebody who is already doing this. Let me join him as a volunteer. I called that person, and his name is Dr. Pratap, who started this, my colleague now. I called him and I said, I've been looking for this, searching for, to do something about this, and I'm glad that you're doing. I want to join you as a volunteer. So he said, see the coincidences that happened in my life. He said, tomorrow morning we're doing a pothole fixing. Why don't you join us? I was like, it can't happen in such a fast pace. And I said, I'll be there tomorrow morning. So I was there early morning, and I was quite thrilled. And I think, that is where I saw what impact this particular thing is going to make. Because 5 o'clock in the morning, I saw people, though, at that point of time, hardly there is any traffic on the road, but still people were, not very comfortable driving around that pothole, which is supposed to be fixed by us. In half an hour, we fixed all 10, 15 potholes over there, and the traffic was moving smoothly. And I was like, this is something that, I am not sure that what did I do in my life so far, which I have, I would be proud of. And this is something that I can't even explain. And that's where, I started continuing as a volunteer, went on with Pratap as for almost, 6-7 months. And then, I realized that I think this is the larger purpose of my life. I decided to quit my job. Of course, parents, they're not very supportive because this is very unorthodox kind of work, and rightly so. Coming from a middle class family, they have their certain expectations, but I think I had made my mind, and conviction was strong enough to kind of move ahead. So I did something mischievous at that point of time, wherein I did not tell my parents that I'm going to leave my job, and I had left my job. So that's how my transition happened from the corporate world to IT, and from then onwards it has been a journey which is full of lot of learning, gratitude, and I think I continue to learn every day. I interact with a lot of people, and I've seen how social enterprise, which is not really seen as some organization. Typically, one of the questions that I've been asked is always that, how do you earn money? I know that you're doing some good work, but how are you able to take care of yourself? You live in Bangalore. It's not it's a very expensive city. So I think a lot of understanding happened in this time, 3.5 years, 4 years, how why business model is important. So that has been my journey so far, Harsha.
That's pretty exciting journey, I must say that. So you see, India is still working on Startup India and those kind of initiatives. When it comes to getting angel investments or investments for our startups, it's quite a challenge. How did you face it, and what were the lessons that you learned along the way?
Right. So this is quite interesting because we always were focused on getting the funds through CSR model. Right now, CSR funds in our country, I think thanks to the government that has introduced this as a law, that the companies are liable to spend 2% of their profit for social work or CSR, corporate social responsibility. And we definitely were in that position wherein we could convince a lot of people, saying that in road safety, infrastructure development has to be a very important aspect and part. So that way when we started off, our focus has never been to go to an angel investor or a VC to ask for money to gradually do this, but we were more relying on the public donations and the CSR funding to kind of do the work that we were doing. Eventually what happened was very interestingly, a lot of private road properties. Now, there are two kinds of road. I should tell you so that the understanding is clear. One is public road and other is private road. Now, what are public roads? Where it's direct control of government is there. What are private roads? Where the government's direct control is not there. Like, you have tech parks, you have residential properties, you have industrial areas, factories, and they have their internal roads, which is not only constructed but also maintained by them. So a lot of people started reaching out saying that we also have roads and we also face the same issue. We have also a lot of potholes and we don't know how to maintain it. Can you help us do that? So that's where our revenue generating stream started. So in Bangalore, we started maintaining large industrial areas like Electronic City Industrial Area, Biddi Industrial Area, the airport toll road. We started working with the BMRCL to maintain their project sites. So that's how the revenue generation model also started for us. So we were never facing that lack of funding that we would need to raise externally. But yeah, as you know, the question I would little bit modify. It continued to be a challenge to ask for fund, raise funds, whether that is through CSR or the VC, because you know that convincing uh, thing that why should we take care of public road? Right? This is the first question that somebody asked, that we are paying taxes, so why should we take care of public roads? Right? So that's where it's a lot of understanding that how we as a people living in the society, unless we contribute to the entire well-being of in and around whatever is there around us, it's not going to help, and we continue to be in the same developing nation tag, and we would hardly be going to that developed nation going forward if it is not by the citizen also coming forward. So yeah, that's something that how we have made our model to be really a unique model in terms of what we are doing.
Say 5 years down the line, if your vision of Pothole Raja has to be realized, what would India and the world look like?
Of course, a lot lesser potholes than what we see as of now. A lot more conscious citizens. I would add to that because our model is very unique, wherein we focus more on the PPP model. I think we all have heard about the PPP model, wherein public-private partnership. What we believe in is public-private people partnership is actually going to change the scenario of our country. Unless we have citizens participating in the overall development of a city or the country, it is just going to be a blame game saying that humne to tax de diya, our job is done, or we have contributed by, let's say, voting, so our job is done, rest is up to you. So I always define saying that we always say democracy is for the people by the people. So we are very smart as a human being. We always talk about for the people, but we never talk about by the people. What are we doing for the betterment of our immediate surrounding? If we are little bit conscious about that, I think there's a lot of positive change that we continue to see, and we continue to will see in the future as well. So the way we see down the line 5 years is a lot more cities adapting the model that we have, that citizens play an active role in not only identification but also helping the authorities or maybe the companies. CSRs playing an important role in, let's say, maintaining or beautifying that particular section. Second is we are doing a lot of research, and we have come up with a very innovative model of laying roads using recycled plastic waste. So that's a very unique product that we have come up with, and it can actually help make roads which will never have potholes, right? So there are two aspects. One is you continue to repair, because if there is road, it is bound to get damaged. So first thing is, how soon are we able to repair that? And it can happen only with the help of technology and civic participation. Second is, can we make long lasting roads which doesn't even get impacted by rain or water? So that's where we are moving forward. We continue to innovate, we continue to add more interesting technologies to our organization, but we are only oriented towards making this products and material using waste materials. We don't want to add to the waste that the world already has. That's where recycled plastic, industrial waste is something that we are doing our research. So how do we continue to add more relevant products which can be a game changer in the real estate road construction infrastructure?
Um, so IICSR is a dedicated research development training institution. What gaps do you think that we should train social entrepreneurs, the upcoming social entrepreneurs, which if you would have been trained, it would be happened easier for you?
I think I'll connect this to a lot of questions that are fired to me, Harsha. And I meet a lot of people, and they say that we have a lot of liability. There are so much financial commitments. We have family, children to take care of. If we leave our job and start into something in this field, how will we able to earn the money that we are earning as of now? So you know we don't have the dearth of passionate people, but the challenge is they don't understand that there exists a business model in social enterprises as well. and it has to be kind of validated and then put across to the society or to the investor or whoever is a paying customer, if you I would say. So just like how a normal startup starts with their conceptualization, their business model, what will be the revenue. So the only difference that happens is social enterprises are more towards impact and less towards profit. But it doesn't mean that it does not mean that they don't make profit. And if they don't make profit, then they will die eventually, maybe in a year, maybe 6 months, or they can't, maybe 2 years down the line. So it has to be a self-sustaining model. That's where I think the gap is, how do we kind of introduce business model concept in social entrepreneurship. When we actually talk to people about this, it's very important to make them understand that business model in this sector is as important as any for-profit entity as well. If that does not exist, sorry, but it is not going to last long. And that's what I have seen. That's what has I have my experience has taught me, that it has to be doing good cannot and shouldn't always come at compromising a lot of things in your life. You can still be passionate, you can still be very empathetic towards society and people, and you can still kind of have a decent life. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not promising that somebody will start earning 1 crore rupees immediately, but it can happen. I want to say it can happen. And I'll connect with the work that we are doing. When we started off in 2017, our revenue the first year, because we had just started, was 1 lakh rupees. 2020 financial year, our revenue was close to 3.5 crore rupees. So you see the kind of transition that we have done in the last 3 years. So I think if the numbers can instill some confidence to people who are listening, I'm sure that they would understand and get my signal that there is a lot of scope, and the world needs more impact and social entrepreneurs to make this world a better place.
Wonderful. Also, you won one of the competitions, SDCcart Innovation Competition. Would you like to share something more about it?
Oh, yeah, I think first of all I should thank Harsha for organizing that IICSR, because I believe that it's a need of the hour. Social development, is something that the world is looking after, and SDG goals are something that has been laid, and India has to cope up with that. 2030 is our goal, and there are a lot of things, interesting aspects, interesting products that a lot of social enterprises have come up with, but they don't get the market. They actually, people don't know that if, let's say, I want to buy, I mean, I think one of the relevant thing, and I would like to share the story, is one of my mentors reached out to me saying that we are doing a lot of food distribution, but we are worried that these all plastic packets will again go to the landfill, or maybe it might not be processed in the right way. Now all this happens because alternate product or material that has already been now developed, or people are developing, which are biodegradable, more eco-friendly, these are not easily accessible to the society, right? And that's where platform like SDCcart can add real value, because they know where to go to find out these kind of solutions. If somebody wants to do something without polluting the environment, there are tons of products and services available. People don't know where to go. So that way, I think this competition is definitely going to be, and I'll again use the word game changer, because there has to be a platform wherein marketplace wherein you go and you find out the product that you're looking, because that bottom of your heart, you don't want to harm the environment. You want to be more sustainability oriented in your thought process, but you don't know where to go. So this platform actually provides that, and I'm really glad that IICSR has taken that step in ensuring that different innovative products in the sustainability side gets listed over there, and people can actually take benefit out of that.
Thank you. On this note, I would open it for our fellow panelists who would like to ask you questions.
Sure.
Dr. Patel.
Sourabh, in NGO sector, there's a big problem now. The funding is being reduced now.
Yes.
With international donors gone, government having its own agenda, CSR also going to PM Care Fund and all. In your model, what do you suggest NGOs should do now to survive in future?
Thank you so much, Dr. Upadhyay, for this question. And it's a very relevant question that, we keep discussing. A lot of discussions keep happening.
Sure.
And what I have done, my research, small little research, a lot of interaction from the CSR fraternity and the NGO side. I think in India, the NGOs currently are lacking innovative solutions. A
Okay.
lot of NGOs are doing the same work at different places. So there is nothing new that is happening. And when it comes to people in the CSR, side, they keep looking at something which is innovative, which is
Okay.
matching the current world, right? I mean, the NGOs can't operate 10 years behind. If they are into education, they can't still talk about the blackboard teaching. They have to, technological advancement has to be there. And it has to be an engaging model. It can't be a boring way of doing that, right? So that is just one example. And India, 60% of the funds actually go to the education, domain. Now that is at a huge risk. Last 1 year, a lot of NGOs have shut their operation because there is no funding available, and rightly so that they were not at fault. The thing is, the country, the world is actually facing something which nobody had seen. So the large chunk of fund has gone to the COVID relief, and it will continue to go for COVID relief, maybe for this financial year as well. So unless people in this industry start thinking innovatively, they start adapting to the technology, and they come up with something very unique. Because one of the feedback that we have been getting is your model is probably one of the most unique model that we have come across. And that has enabled us to even get projects in during the COVID time as well.
Sure.
So if we would not be in this sector wherein we were slightly different from the others, what they're doing, probably we would have also not got any funding. So it has to be there. I mean, people have to brush up. They might need to take up some technical courses, understanding, get used to technology, and kind of do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay. Mr. Kumar, Dr. Kumar, would you have some question?
I'm sorry, you are asking me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Sourabh, there are NGOs who are working in India for quite long. I will like to name Sulabh International,
Yeah.
Mr. Vindeswar Pathak. And similar to the work you are doing in Bangalore, there is an NGO in Gujarat, and more so probably they are now in many cities in India. That is a Lifeline Foundation, Dr. Subrata Das.
Okay.
So Dr. Subrata Das is also working on accident-related issues, but in fact, his NGO is providing post-accident facilitation and quick responses and support. So he has built up a network of doctors in entire Gujarat, and now he is going beyond Gujarat also. And for his work, he has received Padma Shri Award. Now, how you see your work in coming days?
So I think that's a really commendable job that he's done, and I think it's a very important aspect that he is touching. That post accident, it just happened quite recently that the Good Samaritan law has become accessible to the entire country, and people know about this. That in case of any accident, nobody is gonna be questioned by the police. But if you go back years back, I think everybody had that inhibition and that trust issue, saying that if I get involved in this, I will be probably harassed by the police, and a lot of question answers, my identity will be revealed, and whatnot. I think that way, if I look into that, it's a tremendous job that he has done, and rightly so. That the award actually justifies that. For us, we are into how can we not let the accidents happen. So we are doing that infrastructural changes, upgradation, modification that will ensure that irrespective of how somebody is driving on the road, can we ensure that the infrastructure is right in place so that the accidents don't take place, right? I mean, one of the questions that we are continuously asked whenever we install traffic signages is how many people do follow traffic signages, or how many people even see traffic signboards. But the reality is, because the traffic signboards are not present, people don't see. We are not used to seeing traffic signboards. From where to take a left, from where to take a U-turn, from where to not honk. outside a school, outside a hospital, it's always a no honking zone. But how many of us have actually gone and, not honked even if we are in traffic? At the signal, there is no urgency of going and honking because it's a red signal for everybody. The person standing in front of us did not go out of his house to actually stop me that, I will not let Sourabh drive. So let me, be the cause of traffic jam. So, this infrastructure changes. If we see around that, there are a lot of signages available, the traffic lights are working properly, the traffic lights are communicating with each other. See, one of the biggest challenge that happens in our country is two traffic signals don't interact. So at one junction, there is a bulk of, a pile up of traffic, another signal, it is completely empty. So by the time you reach the next signal, it should actually be green, but you find that red. So the commute time increases. So, and when the commute time increases, you have more fuel burning, more pollution, noise pollution, air pollution. You go to your office in a very, dejected mode, saying that, I took 2 hours, now my productivity is completely gone, I'm not at all productive, I need a break as soon as I reach office. So a lot of factors are there which contribute just by the road infrastructure. So if I can make the infrastructure more suitable for the public, I think we can avoid a lot of accidents that are unwantedly happening, right? One such example is 10,000 accidents in India happen every year because of faulty speed breakers, right? If speed breakers are not marked, if the signboards are not present saying that there is a speed breaker, if reflectors are not present, accident is bound to happen. You can't see a speed breaker suddenly. It can't happen. We don't have that, eyesight at all, that driving at 100 kilometer or 80 kilometer per hour, we spot a speed breaker. But if we have signboards at locations, we probably are more informed that exists a speed breaker, I probably should slow down, right? If there are reflectors, I would probably, even if I miss the signboard, I would probably be, more aware that there is something. So I need to probably slow down. So infrastructure changes, according to us, is very important. That's what our commitment to the reduction in road accidents to our country is.
Pothole Raja is advocating for grid mats.
Right.
Can you briefly share specialty about it?
So Gridmat is a very, very interesting product that we have come up with. When right from our inception, when we started off, we always wanted to go into preventive maintenance of road as well, right? What we are doing as of now is corrective. That if a pothole is reported, we are going and fixing it.
That's
we probably using our technology, we are going to that stage wherein we can even detect cracks using our image sensing technology, and we can fill that so that pothole don't even appear.
Right.
But the infrastructure part, so Gridmat was something we were very focused that what are the kind of waste material that is available that can be used for road construction process. That's where waste plastic was something that was always in our mind and heart, saying that how can we kind of utilize that. We have done, trust me, we have done tons of experiments in our lab. We have shredded plastic, mixed it with waste material, formed bricks, tested it, failed, nothing happened. We tried using multiple resins and all that. How do we make that hard and all, can so that it can carry the load. A lot of time, I mean, we would have failed 50, 60 different kind of material that we made, and we failed. Right now what we are doing is we are making this using recycled plastic PP waste, which comes to our factory, and then we make a honeycomb structure out of it. Now this honeycomb structure is able to take load up to 300 to 400 metric tons. Now that's a huge amount of load, right? I mean, it can also carry a Boeing 747 if I have to translate that in layman's language. So that's the strength of this material. Now it provides that hard base that whatever vehicle you drive, it will never be damaged. So you always have a smooth surface.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where our technology is gonna make a lot of difference over here.
How its utilization have grown recent times?
Sorry, how?
How utilization of grid mats have grown in recent times?
So we have a lot of case studies that we have already done. We have deployed in multiple industrial areas, right from Jindal factory in Bellary to private properties in Bangalore. We have made roads from this. We have also made speed breakers out of this. That is also one of its kind. So we actually use very less of the natural stones and aggregate that is typically used in the construction. We replace it with our Gridmat, and that's how we have been doing. So we have as of now we have paved around 10,000 square feet of surface using our Gridmats. And when I say surface, it is not just road, but you can actually make your industrial shop floor. You can make a landscaping road. If you want to make a temporary road, you can actually make a temporary road out of this as well. Let's say somebody is having a construction activity and they want to drive their vehicle for just 2 months. They can actually use our Gridmats, drive their vehicle. Once the construction is done, take the Gridmats out and keep it with themselves. Next project, wherever you have a work, you actually use it and you make a flat surface for commuting. So it can also be used as a temporary access road.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for the question. May I request Mr. Ramesh Daswani to please ask his set of queries, share his views.
Can you hear me, Asha?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Sourabh, at the outset, I must tell you that your story is rather inspiring.
Thank you so much.
But I would like to it's a comment come question. You said when I joined up that the NGOs have to become innovative.
Yes.
And NGOs should now learn to obviously become more sustainable, generate more funds, etc., etc. Right. Now, if an existing NGO who is really doing good work at the ground root to become innovative, we are talking about generating resources, right? And to generate resources, if we go the route of your social entrepreneurship route, there are a whole lot of complications as far as the government is concerned, the trust registration is concerned, all your existing goodwill which you have as an NGO or as a trust, and then you want to shift your focus and become a social entrepreneur, okay, and start generating some money and continuing to do good work. I'm not sure as to how that would marry or how that would happen. That's one. The comment obviously on that is that it's good for a new startup or for a new person who starts, rather than starting an NGO, you should start a social enterprise, right? But for existing NGOs, like what Dr. Upadhyay said, the challenge is raising resources and raising funds, which is a big, big challenge, right? My second point is that with the kind of work you are doing, I would like to openly invite you on this forum to the Rotary International. We are doing a lot of work for recycling, and we're doing a lot of work for garbage and for sustainable kind of a project. So I would like to take Harsha's permission and invite you to come in as our guest, right? As to, come and be a part of our movement, because all over Maharashtra, we are starting this entire endeavor of making the environment much more cleaner and better, right? So I don't know where you're based. I think you're based in the south, right?
In Bangalore.
Sorry?
Bangalore.
You're based in Bangalore, right? So, so these are my two comments. One was an invitation, and second was a comment as to how do you marry the two? What is the Ganga Jamna solution you suggest? How do you have a parallel enterprise called a social enterprise to marry with an NGO?
So to answer, first of all, thank you so much, Mr. Daswani, that you're inviting me to that. And Harsha is the, boss over here. So with her permission, I would like to, be a part of the Rotary International.
It's an open platform, so.
As an honorary advisor, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Harsha, for the permission.
Yeah, so, yeah, I would really be glad to, come over there and be of any help that I can be.
I'll send you an email immediately after this session. No problem.
Sure. To answer the first part, Mr. Daswani, when I said that it has to be innovative, it might not be a social enterprise. Social enterprise is a different concept altogether. Not a very different concept, but if an existing, let's say, example that any NGO who has been working in the field of their expertise from the last 15 years. Now, if they don't have funds, definitely it's going to be a big challenge, right? But interestingly, what has happened is the corporates have actually come up with a lot of innovative models saying that we can actually help you build the technology which you are lacking, right? And they would do it for free of cost, or maybe under their CSR initiative. It might not incur any cost to them, but what will eventually happen is the NGOs will get what they are lacking. So maybe it might be a a ERP solution, right? How do they track it? It might be a better website. It might be a mobile application. It might be a a model how to interact with their communities in a much better way, right? So these are the kind of help that the corporates have are very willing to kind of do that. But at the same time, it has to be a willingness from the NGO. What I believe, whether they are very adaptive or they would want to be adapted to the change, the technology, that advancement that has happened, right? Now if the upcoming generation is more in let's say Instagram, one can't keep focusing saying that I will use only Facebook, right? So that's where the shift in this is just a small little example, right? That how do people miss out on their target audience if they want to kind of address, and they say that the youth of today, I mean, now TikTok is not there, but if can I educate my audience using TikTok or similar platforms? So that way it has to continuously evolve, and that's where the leadership will probably might need to kind of step in, or they might need to add new resources to their NGO, maybe upcoming youth ambassadors kind of thing. I mean, a lot of interesting organizations are there across the country who are making so the change makers for tomorrow, right? So can they be introduced to the organization so that they can actually be the change maker within the organization? I think these are the points which will probably help them to make the transition slowly.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Daswani, for asking the question. And you are an honorary advisor to us, so please feel free. This is your platform equally.
Thank you.
May I invite Kansh Srivastav to please ask her set of questions?
Thank you, Harsha. Hi, Sourabh. So my question is, since your company is already connected to SDGs, how do you think this pandemic has affected, has taken a toll on the progress of sustainability?
Thank you, Kansha, for that question. And rightly so, there's definitely going to be probably a year or a 2 year lag to where we were before the pandemic hit. Because a lot of, the question that had come earlier is a lot of NGOs have shut, which were actually one of the key enablers in helping achieve that, those SDGs. So it is definitely going to take a hit, but I'm sure that we don't want to be in that stage or, that state wherein we think that now the worst has happened. What can we do? And we are now handicapped. We don't have funds and all. We will have to, look for alternate methods and ways of how do we still be on the track, right? Let's say somebody, I mean, I'll give you a few examples. Let's say somebody was raising funds only through, let's say, crowdfunding or their individual donations. It might not work in the coming time. Can they do a pivot or transition saying that, can I explore now different models, right? If I have not explored CSR, can I explore CSR? If I have not explored, let's say, maybe selling some products that they were making, can I explore that? So that they're on track. The communities have also, gotten dispersed, right? A lot of their target audience that would have be the beneficiaries, suddenly a lot of, backflow of people from cities to the home, the rural part has also happened. So might be, somebody would have been working for the rural development, targeting just 100 people. Suddenly there would be 1,000 people. So how to address that? How can they still be relevant? And it can happen. I mean, I'm very certain that it definitely can happen. It might see little bit of lag, little bit of delay in achieving those goals, but one has to be optimistic and in solving all these problems, so that we I keep saying that we should always avoid the complaining and cribbing mode, and we should always be in the problem solving mode. So now that we know that the pandemic has hit, now that we know on the on ground challenges, how can we think beyond that and still be on track? Has to be the solution, rather than saying, now we are hit, now what? We can't do anything. So that's my point of view on this.
Okay, I have another question. According to the economic survey, uh, panelists are saying that India needs fast economic development instead of sustainability. So, how do you connect sustainability and fast economic development at the same time?
See, I'll connect this question to the introduction of EV vehicles in our country, right? I think 1 year or 1.5 years back, there was a lot of questions saying that how can we even afford it? It's not possible. We don't have electric charging stations. People won't buy. It's a silent vehicle. We love that sound of the engine and all. But in 1.5 years, the transition actually has happened very rapidly. People have started understanding that while the sustainability angle is being touched upon by the EV vehicles, uh, the economic development is also happening, because when you see this, when these both economic, development and sustainable development marry each other, there is actually a birth of lot of interesting startups or interesting companies. How can they be a contributor towards this ecosystem? Now, when we talk about now charging stations, I'm sure that it's not just the responsibility of the car manufacturing company, but there'll definitely emerge a lot of startups who will eventually come up with solution of how do we now make this charging stations available across the country, right? Let's say from Bangalore, I want to travel to Delhi. At this point of time, I might not be able to travel in my EV vehicle, but how can I now start thinking in that terms, that can I be that solution provider? Because now I see a gap. I can't travel from Bangalore to Delhi with in a EV vehicle without stopping for 8 hours or nine hours for fast charging and things like that. So how do we now address this? So that's where it has to be a collaboration. It has to be a marriage between the economic and sustainable side, and that's how the progress will happen. And it has to go hand in hand. I mean, one can't say that bullet train is not needed in India because our train infrastructure still is not able to cater to this. If we don't have bullet trains, then how do we even understand where all bullet trains will be needed and how it's going to add to our economic development, right? So it has to start somewhere, and that's how it's going to go forward.
Thank you, Sourabh.
Thank you, Akansha.
Thank you, Akansha, for the question. Dr. Hopkins, I see that you've also joined in. Would you like to ask? And anyone else, please feel free to message if you all would like to ask a question. Dr. Hopkins?
Hi, Asha, nice to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
My other friend, Ramesh, so I'm all looking so absolutely well. Can you hear me okay?
Doctor, we can't hear you.
Let me try getting closer. Is that better?
Yeah, now it's good. Now it's good.
Okay, sorry. Let me get close to my microphone. I've moved from my base where I had better internet to where I am now. But anyway, I was just saying, nice to see you all, Ramesh and Harsha.
Thank you.
Everybody. I do have a couple of questions to our speaker today, but mainly one of help. If I think they both are actually. I'm in Africa, and first question is, I get asked quite frequently by young people who have zero income, and they want to do something. They want to enter the labor market in some way, but they have no idea what. Now, I always ask, what skills do you have? What are your interests and so on? And where can you go? And two things that crop up quite frequently. One is fashion, clothes, selling them, buying them from China and selling them here, or buying from India and selling them. But then how does somebody get into that? Then I suggest starting a website or something like that. And the other thing is food-based products and selling them. So I would like Mr. Kumar, what does he think? What does he say? I'm sure he gets asked. He's a very active young man and very dynamic, that's for sure. When he gets asked that, what does he reply? And I'm going to ask you another difficult question, which is actually affecting this country, and I'm afraid it's a COVID question, because of COVID, India has stopped exporting the AstraZeneca drug to COVAX, which Kenya was a beneficiary of. And they received 1 million doses about 3 months ago, but nothing since from anywhere. And they're incredibly reliant on help from outside because they're not producing anything in Africa. I wonder whether my friends around listening today could actually do a little bit of exploration. And I know how bad the situation is in India, but whether or not they could manage a few exports to this country here in Kenya, which is very dependent and has a lot of contacts with India. So that's kind of a difficult question, but I wonder whether you could help, and then I could pass on that information to some of the officials here who seem to be a bit lost on what to do. And of course, because of that, COVID is rising quite sharply. Happily, I've been vaccinated with 2 doses of AstraZeneca. Thank you very much for producing them in India and probably saving my life. But maybe I'm too old to save, and we should start thinking about younger people as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hopkins, for that question. And of course, the second question indeed is very tough to answer. Situation over here is obviously not in a very good state in terms of the vaccination for this densely populated country that's happening. And I believe that is one of the the reasons why the exports would have stopped. I don't have a lot of information on that, but I think as in we might not might be able to kind of give you a little bit of information on that when it's gonna start off. But to answer your first question, which is still a little difficult, but yeah, I'll tell you what these are the kind of questions that I also keep kind of getting. And when we say that we are gonna employ a lot of people through our initiative, I think it's very important that any new venture or initiative that gets started, it has to be, and if it is directed towards providing employment to, let's say, people who don't have a lot of skill set, it has to be a very, very simple, solution. It has to be as simple as, I mean, I'll connect this to my, work. When I say that I fix potholes being a non-civil engineer, and somebody asks, how do you do that? I say, if you know how to cook noodles, then you know how to fix a pothole. It's that easy, right? And now nobody can say that I don't know how to cook noodles, right? It's just you have to add that in boiling water and there you go. So if the solution is very simple, it's very easy adaptable by that kind of population who don't have any skill set. And that has been our focus, that how do we make it very, very less technical yet understandable. So if we do a hands-on operation or work, after once or twice you have done that, you probably will become expert, right? So we jokingly we keep saying to all our volunteers that after they do 1 or 2 pothole fixing activities, we we say that you can add this in your CV saying that I'm an expert pothole fixing professional. So that adds value. But what we have seen.
Can I interrupt you a little bit? I missed the first part of your discussion, and I think pothole means different things to you as it does to me. To me, a pothole is a hole in a road.
Yes, that's exactly
the same thing. But when you're talking about cooking noodles, I mean, you fill a road with noodles. No, I'm not. Certainly not. But certainly cooking and selling. I mean, people are really starving, of course, in this country, and I imagine in your country too.
Yeah.
But then people haven't got any money to pay for the goods that are produced. It really is a desperate situation, and if I can try and help, of course I help personally, but if I can help more generally, I'd be very, very happy, and I'm very interested to know what you're doing and what you say. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but at least we're talking about the same subject. It's pretty good.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that's what, Dr. Hopkins, that I was referring to, that it has to be, a easy going solution that people can actually think about adapting that and making that as an employment source. And if it is easy, then it is very, easy to sell and convince people that yes, you can actually do that and earn money and livelihood out of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hopkins, for being between us. Really good to hear your voice and yourself. Anyone, any question, please let us know.
Thank you.
Yes,
By the way,
Doctor.
also on that last, we always say KISS. You know what that means? Yeah, it's an acronym. KISS. Keep it.
Dr. Hopkins, you're not very much audible.
KISS.
Not very clear.
Keep it simple and stupid. Bye. Let me write.
All right. Okay. Great. Dr. Mishra, do you have a question or Saurabh, a final message for all of us and the viewers? And the
hello, I have no question at the moment. So
all right.
it was, yeah, thank you.
Sure. So, Saurabh, final message to all of the social entrepreneurs.
Yes, Harsha. So what I believe and what has helped me in my life, I have actually combined two statements from two great leaders. One is Mahatma Gandhi, that be the change that you want to see in the world, and the other one is that if life gives you an opportunity, and if you don't know how to do that, if you get an opportunity, actually say yes and then figure out how to do that, right? So I actually combine both of these statement and make my own success mantra, that when life gives you an opportunity to make a difference, dive in. You can figure out eventually how to make the best out of it. So that's what I would actually tell the viewers, that if there is something that you feel connected towards, uh, once you are completely immersed into that, the doors start eventually opening up from all the directions that you wouldn't have even imagined. The second thing that I want to leave the viewers with is, if we are more focused towards taking action rather than complaining or cribbing, I think we can make our world much more better place. So that has been our ethos and mantra as well, that we believe in, if we have the right solution, we will have the right partners eventually, right? Nobody is there who would want bad for the society, and we continuously thrive for coming up with better solution rather than pointing out whose mistake and what mistake is there. And connected to both of these, if somebody can be an empathetic person, I think that's the best quality that somebody can have. So be more empathetic towards what's happening in around us, and be available for people in need, your family members, and most importantly for yourself. If we're not taking care of ourselves, then I think we are not able to take care of anybody else around us. So that's very important. I want to leave everybody with all these three thoughts.
I believe that that's a great message for all the existing entrepreneurs, upcoming entrepreneurs, and all of us. It's a very great, good energy and vibes. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for joining us, and I would like to thank all our fellow panelists, Dr. Sham Sundar, Dr. Sushil Kumar, Dr. Upadhyay, Dr. Hopkins, but of course, Akansha, Anyaman, Veena, and Mr. Aswani. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Harsha.
Harsha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.